Hi, everybody. This is the Brett Davis Show coming to you from IQ Podcast in beautiful Coronado. Today's guest is Scott Bligh, who is an amazing sheriff helicopter pilot that I've been a friend of mine had told me about. And what a fascinating job that you have. You've served in the U.S. Navy also. Thank you for your service there, sir. We appreciate that.
Sure thing, Brett.
You've been a helicopter pilot. You're deploying from ships in the day?
Yeah, back in the Navy times, the kind of helicopter I flew was deployed from the smaller ships. It wasn't an aircraft carrier-based helicopter. So we deployed off the smaller ships, such as frigates and cruisers primarily.
Well, and you've been doing this for 26 years.
26 years with the Sheriff's Department. And then prior to that, as you already mentioned, was the Navy.
Does it seem that long?
It doesn't. It doesn't, because I'm still trying to, in my head, tell myself that I'm not as old as I am. Trying to feel, like I already mentioned to you a little bit earlier, trying to hang with the youngsters. And I think if I don't succumb to, oh my God, you're 54 years old, it's a little bit easier to hang out and do the kind of things they're doing. Physically, I'm talking about. Mentally, a whole other ball game. But I'm just talking about the physical stuff, which we talked briefly about earlier.
Sure. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, because that's I'm sure a vital part of you staying healthy also.
Yeah, it sure is, especially with the people I work with.
I bet.
Yeah.
So, it says that it mentions also about you being involved with Cal Fires, and in San Diego, as you know, because we haven't really had much rain in, really like a decade. It's been kind of dry.
Sure.
We've had more fires. And so this was never probably part of the job when you started, was it?
No, this for us, it's always been a minor part of the job, but what really kicked off our involvement in the fire suppression game was the 2003 Cedar Fire. And at that point, we did have a couple regional helicopters that were in San Diego, but there were fires up in northern part of California, and they left our San Diego region to go take care of the fires up there. And we were basically left with nothing. So when that kicked off, and I think that burned over 250,000 acres in San Diego, the Board of Supervisors came up with a plan to have helicopters that would never leave our region. We would stay here, even though, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, we did partner with Cal Fire to do this mission. Cal Fire helicopters can go anywhere within the state. But even though we are working together with our helicopters, the San Diego Sheriff's Department and Cal Fire, we're going to stay here. We might go just a little bit over the border into Orange County, or maybe a little bit over at Riverside. But for the most part, we're not leaving the county exposed the way we were back in 2003.
Well, what are some of the challenges being involved with something like that? Because I can't even imagine. And how different is it from the job you typically do?
The challenges specific to aerial firefighting?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, a lot of those. It's a job that for our pilots to get to the position where they can do that, they have to have at least 2,000 hours previous in the unit before they're considered for that job. And then they have to have at least 100 hours training in that particular helicopter to do that mission. And then they start off, they're a junior pilot doing that sort of thing. And they're still kind of under the tutelage of whoever the senior pilot is that's going to be working with them. We typically deploy with 2 helicopters at a time, or we'll have 2 helicopters ready to go during fire season, sometimes 3 if we're talking about extreme fire danger, but we always have that maintenance spare. So we've got the 3 fire rescue helicopters, 2 during fire season, always ready to go. And it's just a continual learning process. Once you get signed off, and when I signed off, I mean we have a Cal Fire aviation inspector come and sit with us and make sure that we're safe to do the job, and that happens every year. So when the first time that guy, he's never been doing the fire job before, it's his first fire season, he's still going to be more or less under the wing of a more senior pilot. So you're continuously learning, even though on paper you've checked all the boxes for what you're required to do before you sit in that seat.
How many people does the Sheriff's Department have that it does it's water drops, right? Or just copters, what you do?
Right. We have our unit is still law enforcement aviation primarily, but we also have the fire rescue side of the house, and that's my area of supervision. I have a fellow sergeant that works primarily in the law enforcement side of it. So previous to the fire rescue side, I was doing the law enforcement side of it. What was your question? I kind of went off on a tangent.
How many individuals do what you do?
I think we've got 16 in our unit right now.
Has it grown in the last couple of years?
It has. Because of the fire rescue program, we needed additional pilots to do that. So we needed to fill the vacancy in the patrol side of the house with newer deputies coming in to do that.
So are they the newer deputies that have come in? They're called you're still called a deputy, right?
Deputy sheriffs are primarily within our units. I'm a sergeant, and I've got one other co-worker that's a sergeant supervising the patrol side of the house.
And my brother-in-law is a sheriff. We have
in San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I won't say his name on air, but we appreciate.
We have a guy that just left our unit. He promoted to sergeant. His last name was Davis. I guess you would have told me that already, though.
Well, no, it's a different name, but we'll talk about it.
That's right.
But we have a high respect for law enforcement, not just because of my brother-in-law, but my grandfather, great grandfather, was a chief of police in Iowa in the day, and
very cool.
It's a phenomenal career, and I have so much respect for our law enforcement, everything that you guys do.
Thanks so much, Brett. That's very nice of you to say.
Well, I mean that. I really do. You guys do. Every time I see one of you, I feel like I see a family member. It makes me feel safe, and I feel happy.
Well, when we see people waving at us, we're just glad they're waving at us with all the fingers instead of just one. That the way things are going these days, we'll take it. Appreciate it.
Well, I guess in different countries it means different things, but here we know what it means.
Yep.
So, how many hours you put your 40 hours in a week, right? And then some, probably.
Yeah, we've got typically a 42 and a half hour work week is standard for us, and we're working 10 and a half hour days. So 4 days a week. 3 days typically off. It's a pretty good schedule. I'm not typically on nights right now, but we do have the daytime part of it and the nighttime part of it. We work from 7 in the morning until 3 in the morning, 365 days a year.
Oh.
And we have two sides that overlap a little bit, the day shift and the night shift. So we get pretty good coverage. And if we need to cover something in between those hours, we're not typically at work, we can call someone in early, or we can call the crew that just left back in to handle it. But it's pretty rare. We cover the busiest part of the shift.
So, I mean, you're in a helicopter most of the time, right? Of course.
Not as much these days now that I'm supervising. The guys get to do more of the cool stuff than I do. Unfortunately, I fly desk more.
Not as much?
Not as much as I used to. I still, if a guy, I think I worked Christmas and I worked Thanksgiving. So some of the younger guys could spend time with their families. So nice. I get some of that. And, someone calls in sick, I'm more than happy to slide in and do the job. But I don't want to kick those guys off the flight schedule. It's their time to do the job now and their time to have the fun. And I just kind of hang back and fill in where I'm needed to support those guys.
So you carry weapons on the copter, of course, also. You'd have to, I would think.
We do. I mean, anytime we're in uniform or anytime it says sheriff on the side of the helicopter, we're a potential target anyway. That's the way I look at it. So we're going to be armed. Sure.
So how has COVID changed your job? I mean, in your department, I mean, has it had an effect at all?
We have had a few vacancies due to guys who've had family members that have tested positive. So, they let us know and we say, okay, that's great. You're going to stay out of here for 10 days to 2 weeks. So you potentially don't contaminate the rest of the unit. But we've only been hit, I think, by maybe two Astria members within our unit at a time. So we really haven't been hit that hard as far as the COVID goes. When we do a lot of hoist rescues down near the border. There's a lot of, as you already know, immigrant traffic that comes across the borders, and they go through some pretty mountainous, rugged terrain sometimes, and they need rescuing. We do a lot of those rescues. So we have masks that we can use for contact with that sort of situation.
So how do you stay focused during a pandemic like this with your health? What do you do daily? Because you definitely look like you're training. You look like you're very healthy. I mean, it's part of your mantra. It's all right.
We are us and the SWAT guys. We have out of the building we work, Emergency Services Division in El Cajon, right at Gillespie Field.
Right.
We have a fitness facility there, and we are some of the few people that are allowed to get in a workout while we're on duty, and we don't abuse that and stay in there all day and call it. But we do put an importance on fitness. Also on our facility is the Cal Fire guys, which I mentioned earlier. They have a building that they operate out of that's right on our area of the airport, and they use the facility as well. We still have to do the COVID, maintain the distancing thing. Don't have too many people in the room, wipe down all the equipment and that sort of thing. But it is there for us to use to maintain physical fitness.
How many days do you typically work out?
Well, I do a variety of different things, but on the average, probably about 5. And, sometimes you just realize as much as your brain tells you want to go, you also have this little other part of your brain that says, you know what, you definitely need a rest today. Heal up a little bit before you pound yourself into submission.
So how long are the workouts typically?
I don't like to go more than an hour. So if I can't do it in an hour, I'm probably not as intense, or I'm kind of goofing off. And, so if that's the case, I don't go there for socialization like you see in a lot of gyms. There's a lot of chatter going on, and the guy says, "Oh, I work out for 2 hours." Well, no, you worked out for about 45 minutes, and that's great. And then you socialize for an hour and 15. So no, I get after it, and then I get out.
Yeah, because the thing that's fascinating is I think it would be great for a future show and even an article. I don't know if we have a magazine also to do a story on the conditioning that the sheriffs do, the type of workouts they do. I think the general populace, I think you guys would be great, mentors in that area, because it inspires people when they hear stories about how our law enforcement are working out, and it gives them ideas too, I think.
There are a lot of guys on our department that are extremely fit, just animals. But then, like any other profession, unfortunately, you get guys that are not really keeping up. And, people see him and they say, they make fun of him. Oh, that guy's had a few too many donuts, or man, he's got a really big gun belt around that big waist. He can carry a whole bunch of things. That's going to be that probably in every law enforcement agency. And, we'd like to, for their own, health and longevity, we'd like to see people healthier, obviously. Heart health is a huge one. But on our department, you look at some of the folks on here, and they're pretty squared away.
Well, the thing is, the one aspect too, I mean, yes, it helps the heart, but I mean, as you know, it has a huge impact on the mind. And
it certainly does.
In your type of job, you're under tremendous amounts of stress, and I would think it would help cut the edge off that a little bit.
It certainly does. With some of the decisions that need to be made, those split-second decisions, and the what happens to your body under stress, it is certainly helped out if you already have a baseline healthy body. It really is. Just your breathing sometimes, even though someone hasn't even gotten out of their car yet to go to where they know they're going to a critical incident, they've got their body worn camera going, and you can already hear the breathing start to increase, and the stress level and the cortisol, the adrenaline going on. So to start off with a good level of fitness is certainly going to be a positive in a situation like that.
So are you originally from San Diego, or are you from the East Coast?
Uh-oh. Did you hear something? Did I give it away?
Did I pick up on it?
I thought I got rid of the Boston accent, but okay. I guess it sneaks in there a little bit. Yeah, I grew up in a suburb of Boston.
It's a beautiful area.
It's good to visit. I don't want to stay there anymore. It's too chilly, especially now.
Right, too much snow, I bet.
The snow, the wind. Yeah, it's tough.
Good food.
Oh yeah, especially we can get the Maine lobster there. And my wife loves that. We were up there a few years ago, and she, I got to get the lobster, and we did. Clam chowder. Yeah.
And you've got the Sox, and you got the Celtics.
Very heavy sports town. Those people are rabid about the sports.
Yeah, of course. It's in the blood. Yeah. So if anybody's out there thinking about becoming a sheriff or getting the sheriff's department, what advice would you give them?
Get on the website, sdsheriff.net, and look at some of the job opportunities that are on there. And you can call the information line and find out what you need to do to apply. If it's the law enforcement route you're going, God bless you. I appreciate it. And I hope you know what you're getting into, especially today. I have a friend that I train with. He's in the application process, and he's got an academy date. It's looking like maybe April. And I appreciate the heck out of anybody that wants to do it. But the website should square you away and get you going in the right direction.
What's the best thing about your job?
And I'm switching over, thinking about it from when I was doing the law enforcement side of it, which I loved. It's great catching bad guys, knowing that that guy isn't going to victimize anybody for whatever amount of time he's going in behind bars for. But the fire rescue side of it for me was just spectacular. The amount of people's lives that you either change drastically from really bad situation, or outright that person in no way in heck was going to make it unless you were there doing what you're doing. That there's some kind of satisfaction you just can't put a price tag on. That's a pretty good thing.
It is. Everybody in law enforcement loves their job that I know, and you have a passion. And I have to tell you, we have a thing that we do typically every month. We haven't done it this year, and it's provided by a place called The Gym. Have you heard of The Gym before?
I have not.
The Gym's in Pacific Beach. It's the old Gold's Gym, and then it became.
Oh yeah, I used to go there. I didn't know it was called that.
So it's called The Gym now. So they're turning him into The Gym, and they're on the North County, and there's some other areas. But anyway, they are one of the sponsors of the show, and one of our jobs, like you have a job, I have a job also. And I have a strong wife, and I'm sure you do too.
Yep.
I don't know why I said that, but we won't get into that.
I could call her over here right now. She'll laugh. Yeah.
We'll bring her over. Let's say hello to her.
Hey, hon. I think she's on the phone. She's on the phone.
Okay, well, we'll talk to her next time.
All right.
So I want to thank you for what you do. And with The Gym being a sponsor of our Law Enforcement Person of the Month, you are the person that we've picked.
Oh. Wow.
You didn't even expect this, did you?
The heck no.
I got a good poker face.
No, I used to go there back when it was called Gold's. And a guy named Sal was working behind the counter. It opened up at 4 a.m. And I would get off a 12-hour shift down at the George Bailey jail when I worked down at the jail right down at the border. And I'd bebop up and get a workout in there. Or I'd start at Gold's at 4 and get one in before going down to the jail. And as far as a bodybuilding type gym, there was nothing better in the county, I don't think, than that.
Well, it's still one of the best gyms in San Diego, and the owner, George Jackson, has a passion for law enforcement like I do. So when we came to him with this idea, he was ecstatic. And so I will be honoring you in some way, and I'll be talking to him today, and we'll be getting in touch with you. But we have some nice little thank yous for you for what you've done, and we appreciate your hard work, Scott.
Well, that's spectacular. Thank you so much, Brett. I really appreciate that.
We appreciate you, and I'm glad that we surprised you a little bit.
Yeah, you certainly did. That's outstanding. I always used to rave to folks about that time at the gym. I think they had me pay cash right up front for the year back in the day for the membership there. And there was I would see some of those top level Olympia contender bodybuilders in there working out right next to me. And I remember, I don't know if you ever heard of Nasser El Somebody.
I remember.
Let me fix that. So he was working out, and I think I was working out on the seated calf raise with a couple guys, and he came over and he said, "Are you guys still working on this?" And I said, "Well, if we were, we're not anymore. It's all yours, sir." Yeah.
He was an interesting guy. He spoke like 5 languages.
Yeah, it's too bad we lost him a little early.
Right. Yeah. Great champion though. And that gym is still some of the best athletes in San Diego. Yeah.
I saw a few other folks in there. I knew Junior Seau used to work out in there. Sure. I saw Hulk Hogan and Randy the Macho Man. It's like
everybody and their mother would work out at that place. And it's still
hardcore.
It still is in there. But anyway, I want to make that introduction to George Jackson and let him know we talked today. And Scott, thank you so much for your service, for what you do for us. And we do appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Brett. I really appreciate you.
And if you're ever in the Chula Vista area, he's opening a new facility there as soon as this whole COVID thing closing down. It's a beautiful gym over on 3rd Avenue. They took over the old 24-hour fitness.
Right on. Good for him. I'm glad.
What's the website for the if somebody wants to become a sheriff? What's that website again?
sdsheriff.net.
Thank you. And we love your boss too, by the way.
We all do.
You take
Thank
care.
you so much. You too. Thank you, Brett.
God bless.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was Deputy Scott Bligh, who is going to be our law enforcement officer for the month and actually for January. We appreciate what he does. He's a very versatile. He's been involved with the Navy, of course, flying helicopters, and he's involved with Cal Fires. We appreciate him. He's a phenomenal deputy. And I want to thank my sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't have IQ Podcast or the Brett Davis Show. So, Attorney King, thank you, Attorney King, for what you do. Sequan Casino and Resort, we appreciate what you do. And Cody Martinez, Indian Motorcycle Love San Diego, thank you so much for what you do. Appreciate you guys. The gym, and of course, Serrano's Coronado, some amazing Mexican food and great drinks in Coronado, and IB Fitness. And Marina also has her wonderful talk shows here. We appreciate what she does. Actually, it's a podcast show. Sarah, what's that called? It's called, what's her podcast show called? For it's Marina's Too Funny, Too Funny and One Honey and Unbroken. We thank you, Marina, for what you do, and Justin, of course, and Carlos. Everybody have a great day. God bless, and let's make it a great week.